ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the first keynote dialogue of the day. She is the former and first ever woman Chief Justice of the Jammu and Kashmir High Court and is currently serving as the first woman chairperson of the Broadcasting Content Complaints Council. Honorable Justice Gita Mittal, I welcome you to the event today and thank you so much for joining us. May we please have you on screen?
Good morning, Ashima.
Good morning, ma'am. So nice to see you. Thank you for joining us for this BW Legal World Dialogue with Women Leaders in Law. It is our honor and privilege to host you, and it is so wonderful to start our day with a judge as full of exuberance and warmth as you. So welcome again, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
No, ma'am. And ma'am, to get this started, I guess together women have covered quite a distance and overcome many a prejudice, shown leadership competencies beyond compare. I think we can all agree we've covered quite a distance. And even then, there's much left wanting in the 75th year of independence. So what is then that, why is it that then that diversity and inclusivity at the bench continues to elude us? And how has your journey been in this regard?
Oh, that's many, many things put together. Let me give a very brief perspective of, what the path of women in the judiciary is that has been. You've got such a beautiful array of wonderful women leaders in the profession. So, I'll try to leave that conversation where the profession is concerned, corporate litigation, the other areas of law, the legal profession, to the speakers who are coming after me. But since I seem to be the only judge on your panel today, and I'm really gratified by the honor that you have bestowed on me by calling me a leader, But I'll just take you very briefly to the passage of women and the position, the demography of women in the judiciary. And I'll be addressing mostly the higher court's position. It's really unfortunate that we have to talk of, women and men separately. There is a profession where ability is sexless. This is something which Christabel Pankhurst had said, and we are still talking of words of Lord Coke. I'm reminded of what Lord Coke had said. He was an eminent jurist in England about 350 years ago. In 1873, when he had said that women are unfit for the legal profession, female attorneys were unknown in England, a proposition that a woman should enter the courts at Westminster Hall in that capacity as a barrister would have created hardly less astonishment than one that she should ascend the bench of bishop or be elected to a seat in the House of Commons. It's preposterous, that you heard a dialogue like this. But, women are still battling their way so far as judging is concerned. In a country where the population is almost 1.38 billion, we have 28 territories and 8 union territories. We have 25 high courts in which provide the justice dispensation system as the highest court in the state. The total sanction strength is 1079, while the total number of judges in the High Court is 660. The vacancy position on 1st February 2021 was 419. That is 39% of judge positions were vacant. Therefore, we have only one judge of the higher judiciary for approximately 2 million people, And the total judges to total population ratio is only 18 judges per million. This is as per the 2016 figures, Now, so far as statistics on women lawyers and judges are concerned, in 1999, only 10% of total advocates who were admitted to the bar were women. And only 23.49% of law students were females. However, as at present, we have almost 50% of girls, young ladies joining law colleges. And there's a consequent drastic change in the number of women joining the bar. However, women's participation in the Indian judiciary has not matched this proportion. It has risen from 5.54% in 1985 to 7.65% in 2005. And I'll come to the later stage. As of 2020, women judges in the trial courts are 27%, while in high courts we are only 11%. And I don't think the Bar Council of India has ever had a woman office bearer. There is no woman as at present. So in 2019, only 76 women judges in 25 high courts. That is 7% of the sanction strength of 1079. 7%. In September 2020, you had no woman judge in Patna, Manipur, Meghalaya, Tripura, Telangana, and Uttarakhand high courts. I think this speaks volumes, Now, when did we get the first woman judge in the High Court, in the Supreme Court? That was in 1989, when Justice Meera Fatima Bibi was appointed after her retirement. The first woman High Court judge, though, came in 1959 in the Kerala High Court. That was Justice Anna Chandi. The first woman judge in Delhi High Court, 1959 was Kerala, came in 1980. And the first woman Chief Justice of a High Court came in 1991. Both were Justice Leela Seth. But, even in Delhi, if you look at appointments from the Delhi High Court Bar Association, I don't think the two women judges who came to the bar, that is Justice Sunanda Bandare or Justice Leela Seth. I'm not sure about Justice Leela Seth. I may be making a mistake. But I think they were both from the Supreme Court Bar Association. So the first woman lawyer to be appointed as a judge of the Delhi High Court from the Delhi High Court Bar Association was in 2004, when I think I was appointed. If I wasn't the first, then I was the second after Justice Leela Seth, was appointed in 1980. And till 2004, not a single woman's elevation in the Delhi High Court. Look at the Supreme Court of India. We have had a total of only, total number of judges has been 8 only in the Supreme Court from 1950 when it was constituted. Unfortunately, what has really worked to the detriment of women's representation and the effectiveness on the bench has been the late ages at which they are appointed. While the longest tenure of a woman judge in the Supreme Court was that of Justice Ruma Pal, who got 7 years, the longest tenure of a male judge in the Supreme Court was Justice P.N. Bhagwati, who got 13 years. Otherwise, by and large, the women judges have been elevated to be given only 2 or 3 or 4 years at the most. Justice Bhanumati was appointed at the age of 59, so she got about 6 years. But otherwise, by and large, judges have mostly been appointed, women judges, at the age of 60 or 61 or 62. Now, what is the importance of why gender diversity? It's sad that we have to talk of gender diversity in a country which is so diverse, where, women are actually 50% of the population and have really gone to the highest positions. We haven't had to fight for a vice presidential position. We've actually had a woman president of India, woman speaker, women leading political parties, women ministers. We haven't had to fight for voting rights, Yet, why this kind of disparity? And what is the need for having gender diversity? Courts are symbolic of society. If 50% of the population is not represented, then imagine a woman, what she must be feeling. Let me recount the story which Chief Justice Beverly McLachlan, the woman Chief Justice of Canada, always related, She talked about when she was sitting in a courtroom, she saw this male litigant absolutely petrified. He looked so nervous that she was compelled to ask him, "What's the matter? Are you all right? Can I give you a glass of water?" This is what the man said. "Your Honor, I feel completely overwhelmed and outnumbered." She looked at her court and she found woman judge, woman prosecutor, woman defense lawyer, woman bench clerk, woman stenographer. Now, this is what the man said in a women's courtroom. Imagine what a woman litigant must be facing when she enters a room full of only men. So therefore, the process will seem less intimidating if we add more women. Then women bring the wealth of their experiences, which are certainly diverse and different from what a man has experienced to the bench. So not only will society be more representative, but women are a very valuable resource and intellectual resource capable of multitasking. This is also an established fact. This doctors and scientists also accept. Then what is even more important, that the bench will be symbolic of real time equality. If you have more women or an equal, if not an equal, then as much an equal number of men, then the bench will be representative of the ideal of equality. The wider range of considerations in reaching judgment will be evident, because women think wider and and as I said, bring their own perspective to the bench. And then the bench will incorporate the values of diversity in society, and certainly issues which are important to women will be addressed. For instance, an issue like reproductive health, it is very, very difficult to start conversations on this. What is the importance of contraceptive devices? What is the importance of menstrual hygiene and health issues? These are
Yeah.
so important in Jammu and Kashmir, and I'm sure it's the same experience in other states. I found that for want of toilets, we have such a large attrition, where girl students are considered concerned when they reach the adolescent stage and they start menstruating. You need clear, clean facilities. And I was so happy that I inaugurated among the first, automatic dispensers and incinerators. And I took it on as a public interest litigation and issued orders on this very valuable, important right of the women. And, you would certainly, the process of ensuring equality is not so difficult today if you test women on the same standards as on which you test men. Where women lawyers are concerned, when it comes to their elevation, they will not be tested on the standards on which men are tested. In any case, there are no declared standards, which is very unfortunate. There are no objective methods of assessment, even when you elevate from the district judiciary, and women and men stand on completely uneven and unequal standings. So, you need to ensure that women are given equality not only in their initial entry into the judicial system, then even in their further promotions, and you need to integrate and provide for certain special measures to ensure this, level playing field to women. For instance, I know of women judicial officers, when it came time for their consideration for elevation, their annual confidential reports were downgraded because the judge evaluating said that they had been on leave. Now, without looking at what the reason for the leave was, the husband was in hospital, the mother-in-law was in hospital, or she had been on maternity leave. So, and then you don't factor in children's exams, you don't have creches, you don't have toilets. I know of several courts where you don't have toilets for women judges. So, therefore, you have to create a level playing field for evaluating women, for ensuring that their workspace is comfortable. You give them flexi working hours. Why not? A judge can write the same judgment from the house as she can or he can from the courtroom. So, you need to be flexible, factor in the diversity, factor in the differences in the requirements, and ensure that you create level spaces, be it in evaluation, be it in work dispensation, be it in judging, that when you're coming to evaluate, one very important factor which I'd like to point out, Bhavna, is that law schools admissions are 50%. Trial court entry level, where examination is the basis of getting into the judicial service, we have almost 50% women joining the judicial service. It is only where the constitutional courts are concerned that women are not being considered. And by and large, this is also happening because there are no women in the decision making or the selection groups. So, and this will never happen so long as you keep women out of the system. You don't give them, let them reach a place where they can be in the decision making or in the selectors positions. And women are losing out a lot because of that. So, you develop objective standards. You see how many judgments a trial court judge has written, a male or a judge, the quality of the judgments. Same thing for elevation within the constitutional court. How much institutional development has been contributed, how many judgments have been written, how much new jurisprudence was brought out, new propositions laid out, what is the judge's aptitude on inclusion, on equality, on diversity, and what are the other factors. You need to create spaces where everybody gets a chance to show their talent and evaluate them on that basis, not sit in, this is very important for the higher constitutional courts. And this is important to ensure equality and ensure that women make the same, reach the same positions as male judges do.
Very true, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that out. We really need to have a gendered perspective, brought to the adjudication of matters and otherwise. So, ma'am, despite all these challenges, how have you been, forging ahead? And what has been your biggest strength as a woman and as a judge?
Um, well, Bhavna, I also hit a glass ceiling. But what is interesting is COVID-19 gave me a chance to read a lot, and I happened to pick up some biographies. I read Michelle Obama's Becoming. I read Sandra Day O'Connor, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. She's the first woman judge in the U.S. Supreme Court. I read her book, Majesty on Law, and I read a few others. And I found all of them mentioned the glass ceiling. Even RBG, the famous Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, talks of glass ceilings. Yeah. But what maybe called my strength and maybe the my barrier to upward mobility has been, I really have looked at it and cherished it, is my complete dedication to law. It's been my objectivity and independence. I will not compromise that on for any reason. I lived by the principles. I used to call them 3 H's. Honesty, hard work, and humility. And I have not compromised on these at all. I have a absolute burning desire to do more. As of now, I haven't really got into things because I've got so many irons in the fire. I don't know which one I want to do more. So I'm starting to do a whole lot of things related to a lot to social justice and social causes. And what stood me in very good stead, I did it as a lawyer and I continued with it as a judge, was my constant, I call it you may call it a fetish or a madness, was to look for rights in every problem and mold the law to secure those rights for the person affected. And even when somebody came with a very, very bad case to me, I was able to look for rights, seeing the agony or the trouble that the person felt he or she was in. And status does not matter to me at all. Not the status acquired by the position or the authority you're placed at. To me, a magistrate is as important as the Chief Justice of India, because what law empowers a magistrate to do is not something which the district judge or the high court or the highest court can do. Law is very strict. What the district judge can do, the magistrate certainly can't. And I, as a high court judge or the Chief Justice, could not. So, in my conversations with judges, in order to empower them, I have always said that each of you is absolutely important. Take pride in your work, take pride in your position. And, so when I talk of status, it is not only that of position, but also the financial status. It does not influence me. It does not matter to me. And this is really empowering. If you're able to overcome Well, I didn't have to overcome because they just didn't matter. But these have been my few strengths, and they've stood me in very, very good stead. Even
Nice.
in your some low moments, these they help you rise above whatever comes your way.
Beautiful thoughts, Justice Mittal. And we know with what compassion you have been judging and ruling, and it shows out and out. So, one piece of advice to women in law and in general, from your years of experience, what is it that you feel that women should be mindful of in this, ever so challenging world?
Bhavna, I was seeing the lovely bevy of strong, empowered women that you have. And I find amongst the women I know, most of them are second generation. So the biggest hurdle which comes in, empowerment and the upliftment of a woman as a lawyer or as a judge has been if she has been first generation. I came from my parents were both academicians. In fact, I always say I'm the least educated in my family. Both my parents were PhDs. My only sibling is a doctor who's done an MD and a PhD and is still pursuing academic career. She's a medical professor and very, very committed. But what I found was it was very uphill. I began with the profession in 1981 when there were hardly any women, and women and no and juniors don't get paid. In any case, there used to be a disparity in what women and men lawyers were paid, juniors were paid, and this disparity was really huge. So it was uphill from every task. I traveled in DTC buses. I used to lug my seniors files home because I was very, very disciplined in my desire to be informed. So I never went to court even to take an adjournment without reading the court file. And that stood me very well when I became a judge. And I had a huge practice before I became a judge and later as a judge. So my advice to my young children today, actually, I am a retired senior citizen. I I doubt if I'll retire, but I am. But to all the young ladies who are joining either as students or the judiciary or as lawyers, don't let anything deter you. Lack of money, family position, contacts, nothing. You will have disadvantages, accept them. You may not be able to do social networking the same way as men do. Though
Yeah.
young people are much more fortunate. There were no lounges or clubs where you could meet. And I see many of you go to clients' offices to meet clients. We would not do that. We would not, well, if you were living at home, parents would not permit you. My biggest message to all of you is that you must teach yourself to compete only with yourself. Don't be bothered if your classmate comes to court in a BMW, looks at the time in a Rolex watch and takes out a fancy pen to put her or his signatures. You keep working at it and compete only with yourself. What stood me in good stead: honesty, hard work, and humility. Do not compromise with these under any circumstance. Under any circumstance, I will tell you, have the guts to tell a litigant who comes to you with a bad case that I will not file your case. Don't waste your money. You only have 10%, 50%, 20% chance. You don't think of it from the perspective that you lose a brief or you get lesser money. You will get much more for having been honest, but you will feel so good having taken a stand on principle and having stood by, most importantly, the position in law. So you have to work within the ambit of the legal provisions. And what I tell every person, I have gone and said this in every law school, I have said it in every judicial training. As you grow, as you climb up the ladder, make sure that you take other women with you. This is something which I have said it, and I felt very good when I heard, the our woman chairperson, CEO of PepsiCo, Louis said exactly these words, But these have been very strong messages in my life. So don't let anything deter you. Don't feel discouraged. It's a beautiful word. Law is beautiful, and standing on principles will take you and help you achieve whatever you want to do in life.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those beautiful thoughts. And I really hope, your words are, come true when everyone is walking up together. So thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us and for those lovely thoughts. And we'll remember hard work, honesty, humility. We'll also, ensure that we work on them. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Namaskar.